Hey, welcome to the first broadcast of Satanic International Network radio show. This is the very first one. Thank you for listening, and I'm very proud and delighted that our first guest is none other than Lori, who's actually here to talk about the Left Hand Path Conference, or Consortium, being held in April of 2016 in Atlanta, Georgia. How you doing, Lori?
Great. How are you?
I am good. I'm hanging in there. So let me ask you this about the Left Hand Path Conference. What is the motive behind it, and why did you choose to sponsor this?
Well, without getting into the long story of it, it actually started with my partner years ago, Jeremy Crow.
Okay.
He started.
We're gonna have these fucking hiccups, unfortunately, and there's nothing either of us can do about it. So
right.
Okay, so with the Left Hand Path Conference, you said you had started this a few years back, huh? What's the purpose behind it?
Okay. The purpose, really, we started off with the Ning site, the Luciferian Research Society, and it was we had this idea back when we started that in 2008 that we wanted to facilitate real-world collaboration between left-hand path artists, musicians, and writers. And that we wanted to bring people together, not just to chit-chat on a forum, because anybody can do that. And no offense, Zach, but you know, there's a lot of those forums out there. Some of them are good, and some of them are great, like yours, like Sin. Some of them, as you know, have fallen down to nothing. But we wanted to take it to the next level. We wanted like real world projects to come out of that. And just like any other forum, you know, it had its ups and downs. It had its stagnation periods, especially during the summer. But so, and we weren't ready for this, but we did it anyway. Jeremy did the first one in 2012 in Toronto. He did a great job, considering that it was the first one, and he mainly got local participation. A lot of local Thelemites and Luciferians and various members of the Left Hand Path contributed. They did presentations. They had an astounding art show, just astounding. It was amazing. So then I promised Jeremy I would do the next one, but in 2013 I was in nursing school and there was no way in hell I could do anything like that. So I told him that as soon as I graduated from nursing school I would set one up. And of course I was living in Indianapolis at the time, so I set one up. In fact, the day after I graduated I came up with the date, and I wanted to do it on a new moon. I did it on July 25th, 2014. And I could only, it was difficult to find a venue because it was Indianapolis. It's the Midwest Bible Belt, Jesus Land, USA. And I actually had a lot of people say, no, we're not going to host we don't want to be the venue for this thing. And I managed to get with the Marriott on the east side of Indianapolis, and we had a successful Left Hand Path conference there. We didn't have the turnout, the audience turnout that we had hoped for, but the presenters were amazing, and they sold most of their stuff. The vendors sold most of their stuff, so everybody was happy. The artists sold a lot of stuff. A lot of the presenters sold out all the books that they brought. So even though we had kind of a small audience, it was, I consider it a successful conference. In fact, I even got up on stage and said, look, if this was the Fluffy Bunny Crystal and Unicorn conference, we would have packed the house. And we would have packed it with 12-year-old girls.
Yeah.
So, you know, bottom line is, we did this thing in the middle of Indianapolis, in the middle of basically the Midwest Bible Belt, and we still did it still went off without a hitch. Basically, it was successful.
Well, what can we look forward to at the 2016 Blessed Path Conference Consortium in Atlanta? Can you talk about like who's going to be there and what's going on?
Yeah, this is really exciting. Of course, as you know, shortly after that conference last year, I moved down to the Columbus, Georgia area, and I got approached by several people about doing it again. And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, Atlanta is really the best place to do it because it's affordable. I got a place right near the airport, the Sheraton Gateway Hotel, which is just minutes from the airport, like 5 minutes from the airport. And it's affordable. And they actually came to me and courted me and gave me a really good deal on everything. And we've got Dr. Thomas Carlson, PhD, who's coming from Stockholm, Sweden. He founded the Dragon Rouge. And of course, he's written a couple of very popular books, Uthark, Night Side of Runes, and Clip Off and Goetic Magic. We've also got Edgar Curval, who lives in Colombia, South America. He is a brilliant musician, dedicated practitioner, writer, and artist. He even binds his own books. I mean, the guy is just amazing. So he will be here, and we're really excited about that. We've got Corvus Nocturnum coming back, who I know Facebook made him use his real name, so he goes by Eric Berner on his Facebook page. But again, Corvus is a brilliant author, publisher, lecturer. He's been on several paranormal television programs. He's doing one right now. He's an amazing artist. I've got a couple of his paintings on my wall. So, and he also does Dragon Con. He's been on A&E's Paranormal, A&E Channel's Paranormal State, Scarefest, Parafest. The guy is just all over the place. And he's also the media spokesperson for the Church of Satan. And besides that, he's just a wonderful guy. I just love the guy. He's just got a great personality. He's a lot of fun to be with. And he actually did a presentation last year with Taylor Elwood, who is a publisher and writer. He's written several books. He's a nonfiction editor of Megalithica Books, and he is also the editor for Emanium Press. And he's actually he did a couple of lectures last year, and then he did one with Corvus on writing and publishing. He is coming out with Pop Culture Magic 2.0. Actually, I think 2.0 is already out, but the Grimoire is going to be out next month, and I do have an article in that book. So I have to plug myself once in a while. Ken Hansen, he will be here again. He was here last year. He is a fellow at the Lloyd Library and Museum. He's written a couple of books in the Hermetic tradition. He writes about alchemy and the Hermetic tradition. He just came out with a new book this year. It's kind of a brain cramp. It's graphically illustrated book. And very bizarre, I might add, but very cool. We've got Dave Smith. He was there last year. He'll be back again this year. Dave Smith is the one and only person that I actually went out of my way to contact and asked to come to the consortium for two reasons. One, I read his book, Quantum Sorcery, and loved it because it totally explains the quantum mechanics behind magic. And the other reason is because I was using his books to do classes on sigil magic. And I wanted to let him know that I was using his book and that I was recommending that my students buy his book. And so I went on Amazon and I tracked him down and I found out that he actually lives in Indianapolis. So I was like, okay, that is a synchronicity there. So we chit-chatted a little bit, and then a year later I got a hold of him and asked him to present at the Consortium in Indy, and he did, and he was excellent, and he's coming back to Atlanta in 2016, which, by the way, it will be on April 8th through the 10th. It's a 3-day consortium. April 8th through the 10th, 2016, at the Sheraton Atlanta Airport Hotel. And if you're looking for information on the internet, we have lefthandpathcon.com, and we also have lefthandpath.us.
Let me ask you this, Lori. So it's April 8th is when it starts. What's the admission, and what are the rates as far as hotel expenses? I mean, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I can. It's a 3-day consortium, which includes a masked ball on Saturday night. The rate is $200 for the entire weekend. However, I believe, I haven't checked lately, but I believe my person who set up the shopping cart, it's still $150. And I haven't told him to change it yet, so get them while you can, because the price will go up to $200 eventually. Anyway, so right now it's $150 for the entire weekend.
Okay, that does not include, though, hotel expenses, correct?
That's correct. We have room block, the hotel. The price for the hotel room within the room block is $119 a night. It's a special price in the room block.
Cool. So you're basically you guys have rented the top couple floors, right, of the Sheraton, right? So it's going to be like the conference people and guests.
We have a room block of 200 rooms. And I have a feeling, because we have some surprise guest speakers coming up, I have a feeling not only will that sell out, but we'll probably sell out the whole hotel.
That'd be awesome. And I mean, I can't even, and you'll know when I get there. I'm not really the most modest type of guy, but I can only imagine, 200 room with Left Hand Path people and enthusiasts. And the minibar key. Like, this could get really interesting really quick, and I look forward to it. That's the type of excitement that I'm looking for. I mean, if nothing else, you get to hear great presentationers, speakers, get to be introduced to music and art and stuff like that, but you get to hang out with probably like the most coolest people on earth for a few days. Yeah.
Exactly. And here's the funny thing that happened. As soon as I announced the Sheraton, all of the suites got gobbled up. They're gone.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but if it's like on the airport strip, there's going to be room for, in case it does overflow or fills up, right? There'll be plenty of places. I mean, I've been to Atlanta a couple times. There's no shortage of hotels in the area, but I would definitely book your hotel at the Sheraton. If they're still available, because that talking about party.
They're still available right now, but I will tell you, those who book a room at the Sheraton will get a special pass to a special party that we're having there on Friday night.
That's awesome. I can only imagine. And the masquerade ball, like, so I could wear like a President Nixon face and just sexually harass random women until somebody slaps the mask off. Oh yeah.
Well, and you might get more than your mask. I mean, we're talking left-hand path women here. They may not appreciate that, Zach. But then again, you're cute enough. You might get away with it.
Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of shenanigans and debauchery going on. And only time will tell, and you will only know if you're actually there. But that's awesome. So how many presentationers do you actually think are going to be there? I read the list. So as far as the presentations go, what do you estimate? About 20 people? 20 presentationers, including the artists and musicians and speakers and everything?
Yeah, we've got the Reverend Bill Duvendak, who I just talked to him last night. He came out with a new book called Vocal Magic, which is awesome. It's great. And he and I are actually doing some projects together. And this is the beauty of this, you know. This is the whole idea. The whole focus on this is to get people together under one roof for 3 days who maybe not necessarily are on the same path, and maybe they're not hugging the same current, but they find some commonalities and they want to work together on various projects. And so far we've had writing projects. We've had several different writers come together and come up with anthologies. We've had musicians and videographers and photographers and just all kinds of people coming together and collaborating on various real world projects. So that's what's really exciting about this.
Well, and you know what? I think it has a potential to be like of historic value in the sense where, like, one, trying to get people of the left-hand path coordinated into one specific spot at the same time is like trying to herd feral cats. It's just it's almost an impossible feat, and the fact that you and other people are hosting an event to try to gather these like-minded individuals, even though, again, there's no unique, I mean, there's no same individual in the left-hand path as the left-hand path is of an individual persuasion, but the fact that this is even being attempted is quite possibly going to be the largest event in history and written history of left-hand path gatherings.
Yes, and it does amaze me even. I mean, I'm just a facilitator. There's nothing special about me except that I'm crazy enough to attempt it. I guess that's what makes me stand out from others, I guess. I don't know. But the point is, yes, I mean, you're right. It is like trying to herd feral cats. I wasn't sure when I announced the first event on Facebook. I didn't know what to expect, and I got bombarded with people offering to help. And it's been even more so with this one. I've been bombarded with people who, for instance, Dr. Thomas Carlson actually contacted me. He just happens to be coming here to speak at Yale, and he's going to be in town anyway, so he said, "Hey, you want me to come and speak at your consortium?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And so that's basically it's not really me chasing after feral cats at all. They're actually coming to me, and this tells me, you know, it's not me they're coming to. They're drawn to this whole idea. It's an idea whose time has come. And I do need to give Jeremy Crow credit for that because he started this. And I just continued it here in the United States. And you know, I want to give credit where credit's due because it's not about me. In fact, it's always been about the team. I've had a huge team of volunteers that helped me with the last one, and another huge team of volunteers that are helping me with this one. And it is an absolute amazing group effort. And so I think it's just an idea whose time has come, and the people that are presenting, they're coming because they want to come. And I think it's a good idea when you get a bunch of left-hand pathers together, it's a good idea just to limit it to 2 or 3 days because we are a bunch of feral cats. The left-hand path is walked alone. We have our own thing going on. And, you know, it's not like I'm trying to put an order together and force a bunch of people to, say, conform to a certain set of rules or dogma. I'm just putting together a 3-day event. You can take it or leave it.
Right. And you know what? I mean, I've looked through the list of presentationers, and it looks pretty interesting. And I mean, I'll admit that I'm ignorant to the majority of them, but I'm looking forward to seeing some familiar faces like Jake. I heard a rumor through the grapevine, which isn't necessarily confirmed, so don't quote me on this, that Lucian Greaves from the Satanic Temple and Brian Weirner from Vital Remains might also be attending. I already know there's at least half a dozen people from Satanic International Network that will be attending. Johnny Watts, chapter head, and ironically, he lives in Indianapolis area. So, damn, Georgia? Shit. Yeah, bro.
But Atlanta's beautiful, though.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, no, it's a great point because it's kind of centralized in the country where the majority of the population is on the West Coast, like myself, or the East Coast. So, yeah, Georgia. Georgia's a great location. I mean, yeah, I mean, what's cool is it's not going to be a local thing where people just like walking out the street buying tickets. This is a big deal, and there are people coming from all over the country to attend this event. Like myself, coming from San Diego, it's no walk in the park to get there.
There's people coming from all over the world. Actually, we've got people coming from Sweden. We've got people coming from South America, England. This is an international event,
awesome.
and as far as your friend in Indianapolis, I've got a bunch of volunteers coming down. They're going to be driving down. Tell him to get a hold of me, and I can put him in touch with my guys if he needs a ride down.
Lori, it's funny you say that because there's a guy that hit me up on Facebook, and I haven't mentioned this to you yet, and you just kind of triggered my memory about it. He's like from New England, and he says that he's part of a motorcycle group, and they're going to come down to the Left Hand Path conference on motorcycles from fucking New England.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Yeah, and he's like, tell all your homies that we're coming from New England, and if they're on the way, they can ride with us. That's like, word, bro. I'll see you there.
Wow. Just wow. I don't know what to say. Tell them to grab Stephen King on their way down.
Exactly. Like New England. Is that really a state? That was a football team. I don't know.
Wow. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, but it's going to be fucking awesome. It's going to be epic. I'm going to be there as, the goofy fucker that I already am, but also I'm going to try to polish up and put together something interesting to present and to speak for a little while about. I'm going with the direction of Satanism and technology and its relevance in today, and how the technology, specifically the internet, has influenced and changed and morphed Satanism and what's still relevant and what's still not. Yeah, that's just a rough draft. There'll be more, but that's where I'm going for. It'd be great to see Jake. It'd be great to see if Lucian decides to show, if Brian does show. It'd be great to see those guys. I mean, there's a lot of like big wigs and familiar faces that I've only talked to on the phone or Facebook or whatever. That it's gonna be great. And you know what? I mean, I'm sure the presentations and the parties and the music and the art, I'm sure all that's gonna be great. But honestly, the heathen in me, I'm more interested in the after hours party. Like, what stays in Atlanta stays in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, and Atlanta, has wonderful nightlife. I mean, if you plan to stay a little extra, spend a little extra time in Atlanta, they're known for their jazz and blues clubs. I mean, there's some great nightlife in Atlanta, and it's a beautiful city. I love it. I go up there occasionally just to enjoy the nightlife. But I wanted to mention also the art show. We have world-renowned artists and literally coming from all over the world to present their art. And I have actually asked the Sheridan to give me 3 more breakout rooms. Well, of course, I'm going to have to pay for them. But I need 3 more breakout rooms, 2 of which I'm going to give to the artists because that's how huge this art show is going to be. And I'm really thrilled about that. In fact, I'm Typhon Draconis and I, he's my co-host, we're flying up to the Esoteric Book Conference next month, and we're going to actually be visiting with Francisco Divine Mania, who is my art czar. He's the guy that's in charge of the art. He's the one that did the logo. for the Left Hand Path Consortium. So I did want to mention that because we do have some famous world-renowned artists coming, and it's easy to get lost in all these names of these presenters and writers, but I think it's important that we recognize these left-hand path artists.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, you're right. It's worth mentioning the caliber of these artists as opposed to just being an artist of some guy who happened to like pull out a piece of paper and paint some shit on it. Like the caliber of these artists are professionals and they're well renowned, and that is interesting and it's great. So can you just to recap, can you tell me once again the time and dates?
Okay, it's April 8th through the 10th, 2016. So that would be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday night, we're going to have a little shindig for the people who have booked a room and paid for a room at the Sheraton. And the reason for that is because that room block is paying for the ballroom. Okay, we've got to book those 200 rooms to pay for the ballroom. I am paying out of pocket for everything else, but ticket sales will take care of the catering and all that for the ball. We've got live bands coming. We have 3 live bands that I know of right now, but we've got more that I'm working with, that I'm talking with right now. And some of them may be quite well known, but I can't say yet. So the masked ball on Saturday night, we will have some live music, and of course Friday night we will also have live music.
Yeah, Lori, I just want to remind the listeners that what is this, August 25th?
Yes.
We're looking at about less than about 7.5 months into the future. So there's going to be some changes. There's going to be some more guests added, bands added, artists added to be confirmed at the time. And
yes,
I would like to say that I'm actually working on the back end too, although I'm not really authorized to. I just kind of try to get some stuff going, and that we can't really speak about because it's not quite confirmed and it's a little too early to actually announce stuff. And then yes, but
when they are announced.
I will say this though, that somebody is going to kick open the back door and let the warthoggins, which is myself, and so it will be an interesting good time.
Well, I've already told my friends, if you haven't booked a room yet, you better get on it, because when these bands and these other presenters are announced, they're going to be gone. The rooms will be gone. And, I have no doubt in my mind we're going to fill the entire hotel.
And that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, you can get a hotel somewhere else that, if the hotels fill up or the Sheraton does, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth going. You still can, but you want to get a hotel now because, it's a business job type scenario where, it's 9 to 5, but when the doors close, you want to be inside for the after hours party. For the adult entertainment.
For the adult entertainment,
just leave it at that,
yeah. I mean, for instance, Sleazoid Mafia is definitely adult entertainment. And by the way, this is their final performance.
That's awesome.
Sleazoid Mafia has been around the Atlanta area for over 20 years. And this is going to be their final performance. So this is a very big deal to them. They are going to do an amazing show as their exit show. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. In fact, I'm going to be purchasing my ticket, my airfare next time I get paid, which would be like next week sometime. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting yourself, Typhoon, Tessa, Jake. And that's just to name a few that are attending. It's going to be a great, meet and greet, and there's going to be plenty of entertainment. There's going to be plenty of interest and enlightenment. I can't wait. I'm like, I wish it was fucking next week, to tell you the truth.
I know. I'm really excited, and I did want to mention, this is a Left Hand Path Consortium. However, I want to mention this. I want to address this right now. I did invite some of my Wiccan friends to speak. And there is a reason for that. Because I think those of us in the left-hand path have an impression of Wicca that may not necessarily be accurate. I think Wicca has changed over the years, just like Satanism has changed and Luciferianism has changed. A lot of things have changed, and my friend Larry Brown, aka LB, um, he's been a Wiccan all of his life. He's not your average Wiccan.
Wait. Okay, real quick. So
Okay.
you're saying Wicca has changed. So are you saying that it's no longer filled with fat guys with ponytails and older broads with like hair down to their ass? Blessed be the goddess. What? Really? It's changed? Okay, let's get them on fucking stage. I want to hear about this.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can address that to Larry Brown, who teaches at the College of Occult Science, and what he teaches is the dark arts.
Awesome. So there's a dark element to Wicca.
Yes.
There is a dark, I've heard people call themselves dark pagans and dark Wiccans, spiritual Satanists.
Honestly,
yeah, that's cool. That's awesome, and I'd love to hear from them.
Yeah, Larry and I have camped out at some of the local pagan festivals together, not like that together, but I mean like had campsites next to each other, and we shared food and shared alcohol and talked many hours. And we were amazed at how much we had in common, the commonalities that we had as far as our philosophy and our practice. And he actually, I went to the Chrysalis Moon up in Indy a couple months ago, and I went there specifically to see Larry and some other people that I knew. And I met one of his friends who is going to be talking, her name's Carrie Lynn. She's going to be talking about her Native American heritage and the dark arts of the Native Americans. So, again, we have quite an eclectic bunch of people.
Sounds like it. You know what? And I mean, honestly, even though I'm kind of, a warthog, kind of like, pig pen, run of the mill, like bottom feeder, Satanist guy. But the Native Americans fascinate me. And what I like about them is, although they're theistically inclined, but their gods are shit you can see. Like, the sun. Yes, I agree. Let's worship that because that makes shit grow and gives us warmth. Like, yeah. But Native Americans actually are, I would consider, left-hand path, and before they got bastardized by the Spanish and whatnot.
Most
Catholicism. Definitely. Yeah, and that'd be fucking awesome. And then they got the voodoo shaman shit. Well, not voodoo, but shaman shit. The witch doctors, the medicine men. That's completely occultic. Is that even a word, occultic? I don't know. Yeah, I think
Well, and we've also got a Taoist who wrote a book while he was in prison.
Nice. Excellent.
And I'm really excited about Vincent because Vincent was in prison and he pardon me, I swallowed the wrong way. He actually came to he traveled through the abyss while in prison, basically, and he came to his own, and he's out of prison, of course, now, and he has gotten his life together. And I think it's important for us to point out that, just because you screwed up when you were a kid or when you were younger doesn't mean your life is over. You can pull yourself together, and you don't need Jesus to do it. And I say that because I was a long-time Christian, and I remember sitting in church, and people would get up in front of church, and they would give their testimony about Christ. Christ did this for me, and Jesus did that for me. And, why not get somebody who's actually done something? He pulled himself out of a bad situation, and he wrote a book about it, and he's going to get up there on stage and talk about how I changed my own life. I took responsibility for myself and I did this. You know, that's empowering. That's empowering to him and it's empowering to everybody else. Left-hand path. So, you know, that sort of answers some questions that some people had when I announced him as a guest, because I think it's very important that we point out that, okay, so you screwed up your life. You know, you're still alive, right? Well, when you get up in the morning, change it. Change it. You don't like your life? Change it. You don't need Jesus to change your life. What you need is your own self-empowerment.
I agree. I agree, and that's what separates right hand path from left hand path. Is right hand path people tend to focus on external, mystical, gods and powers to help them through their life, whereas
Right.
left hand path tends to focus on your own will, your own ego, your own self improvement through yourself, not through these mystical beings. Like
Exactly.
say Jesus, or pick one. There's about 1,000
Hmm.
of them. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Right.
yeah. Man up, pull your pants up, uh, type of deal. You are responsible for your own actions. You're responsible for your fate. I mean,
Exactly.
we are ultimately responsible. Even those that have gone through severe tragedies that they may not have been responsible, they're still responsible for their reactions after that.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is the point that I'm trying to make is that, well, there's a couple of points that I'm trying to make with the consortium. One is that we are productive, contributing members of society. And, you know, we sort of get ignored. We get ridiculed and ignored because of our philosophy, various philosophy, because we're independent and self-empowered. And this consortium, basically, we put together this consortium to show the world that we are productive, law-abiding citizens of our community, and we do contribute a lot to our
Well,
community.
wait. Productive and law abiding. Speak for yourself over there, but okay. Joking. Continue.
Well, and the reason why I say that is because I've been on several forums over the years, including yours. And some people have just, I remember one time making a statement that I had reinvented myself for the second time and changed my life completely for the better. And somebody made a statement about, well, you can't be a Satanist unless you're miserable. And I'm like, excuse me? And I've had other people say, well, you can't be a Satanist unless you're an anarchist and you break the law and you go against the established the established rules of society. And, you know, while I do understand that the left-hand path is all about questioning everything and about testing various established dogma, societal dogma, I don't think it's always productive to just go against all the established rules and
Well,
laws.
no, I agree with you, Lori. And I see this a lot in Satanism, where Satan, the Hebrew word, it means the adversary, and there are
Right.
people that think they're being like ultra satanic by being the adversary, but then they get to the point where you're actually not being an adversary. You're just a fucking straight up asshole. You know,
Right.
like
Exactly.
there's a difference. What are you fighting against? You're just fighting to fight. That's all you're doing, and that's not being adversarial. That's just being a dick.
And you wind up fighting against yourself because really, if you really want to live a Luciferian or satanic life, then make something out of yourself. Do something with your life. And what's interesting is when I was in nursing school, the number of nurses and doctors that I met and paramedics that I met who were Satanists. And people would, the average Christian out there should be very afraid. But not really, because what do? as nurses and doctors and paramedics, we take people's lives in our hands every day. We have to have a sense of responsibility and a sense of morality, and you know, not everybody can do that. It's a tough job. Not everybody can do it. So you do have to be self-empowered. And a lot of lawyers and other professional people who have other people's lives in their hands, they're already self-empowered. That's how they can do that. So guess what? They gravitate to those kind of jobs.
Lori, let's not ruin the surprise for the actual event, and like give away and divulge too much information. What you're talking about is very fascinating and interesting, and I'm sure we'll be talking. So yeah, the Left Hand Path Conference is going to be a lot of cool people, a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, everything from presentations to presenters to presentations to artists, musicians, comedians, parties. There's going to be a great fucking throwdown, you know, shindig of the Left Hand Path people, and I hope you all are here. Lori, if you don't mind, will you introduce once more time, or restate once more time, where and when it's at and what people can expect?
Yes, it's April 8th through the 10th, 2016, in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Sheraton Atlanta Airport Hotel. You can check us out on lefthandpath.us, and that's where you can pay for tickets. There's also links to our special room block at the Sheraton Atlanta Airport Hotel, which has a special rate for the rooms. We also have another website. The lefthandpath.us is the professional site. lefthandpathcon.com is the website that I just throw up all the information, and my guys over at Left Hand Path US actually put it together in a professional form. But you can get information off of both of those sites on the speakers, the artists, the bands. I try to keep it updated as much as I can. The tickets right now are $150, but they're going up to $200 at my will. They were actually supposed to go up last month, but they didn't. We've got an art show, presentations, live music, a masked ball, exhibitors. We also have a Facebook event page, so you can just Google Left Hand Path Consortium, and it will point you to the Facebook event page. We actually have a couple of Facebook pages. We have one for the Left Hand Path organization. So there's links on the websites where you can click in and reserve your rooms in the room block. And if you have any questions, you can email me at LHP basically at gmail.com.
And also, folks, in the video description below the YouTube video, there will be links to both where to purchase tickets to the website for the Left Hand Path Consortium. There will be links. Everything you need to know will be in those links, and I will also be putting the links on the video itself so that you all know where to go. And if there's any questions, you know, feel free to contact me or contact Lori, which will be a link to contact her too, if you have any other further questions that the links did not answer.
Sounds great.
Hey, Lori, it was great talking to you, and I'm glad. I'm looking very forward to meeting you, and I'm humbled and greatly appreciated that you spent the time and money to put this together, and I'm greatly looking forward to it. Again, I wish it was next week. I'm like biting at the bit to get to this.
I know, me too. I'm humbled too. I mean, especially this time around, I'm truly humbled by the astounding level of presenters that we have coming. I mean, my God, you know, we've got some really professional, highly professional, really talented people coming, as well as my old friends that were here, that were at the last one. So it's just going to be a love fest. At least for me.
No,
At least,
absolutely. And for me personally, that's going to be my, that's what I'm looking forward to most is seeing some familiar faces, actually
yeah,
being able to, meet and greet with some people that I've been following for years that will be there. And I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the after hours party. I'm looking forward to be educated on stuff that I'm ignorant towards.
yeah,
I love the
me
fact
too.
that like, you got like, some like Buddhist monks
Huh?
or
Yeah.
where is it? Are they Buddhist? Is that what it is?
Yeah, we
I
got a
fucked that up.
Buddhist
Okay,
monk and we
yeah,
got a Taoist. And
excellent.
then we got a Native American Wiccan, and we got good old fashioned scraggly beard old look. Larry Brown looks like he just stepped right off the hermit card, you know.
It's awesome, and I love the fact. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little, of course, biased and subjective about this, but I love the fact that there's going to be Satanists there too.
Mhm. Yeah.
And Luciferians, all different types of LHP people. So it's going to be a really eclectic
Yes.
blend of individuals that all
Yes.
have a similar understanding